Okay, insanely awesome musicians. In this video, I want to talk to you about paid advertising. This is actually going to probably be the backbone of the way you drive traffic to your online universe. So pretty much all of the social media channels have paid advertising now. Certainly, I'm sure you've heard of Facebook ads. If you haven't, you need to check it out because that's going to be the #1 way. YouTube has paid advertising, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, Etsy. You know, Etsy's not a social media site, but almost every site has a form of paid advertising. And what you're going to see over time is that these sites really, they're going to charge you to get in front of their audience. That's kind of their business model. Facebook is a perfect example where if you would, put a post out, it would, oftentimes go to certainly your entire audience, oftentimes even a bigger audience. But really what they're doing and what they've done over the last couple of years is you pretty much have to pay to even get that post to your entire audience. They call it boosting a post, but essentially that's a way of saying pay us money and we'll show your post to more people. So kind of get used to it. The nice thing is that this stuff really, really works right now. It's just incredible how well this works. So, you got to pay for it, but it's going to really grow your audience. And again, we talk about return on investment in another video in this lesson. And you've got to really understand that you've got to be making money here, because if you don't make money, you can't pay for the ads. You can do it for a certain amount of time, but it's going to stop. It's going to stop at some point. So understand that you're going to have to pay for the traffic, but if you sell them something, you make a little bit of money or you make some profit off of it. This is a cycle you can just continue and continue. So the other thing I want to mention about online advertising, which is going to again be the backbone of your efforts to drive traffic to your online universe, is that it's just amazing how big the audiences are, how specific you can get, and the data that you can analyze after the fact to understand what's working best. So again, let's take Facebook for example. Their user base is in the billions. The entire population of the United States is a little over 300 million. I don't know the exact number, but a little bit over 300 million. So imagine Facebook is a multiple of the United States in terms of their audience and their potential users versus even if you touched every single person in the United States. The other nice thing about Facebook is they know a lot about you. They know more about you than you think they know. So as a user, it might scare you a little bit, but as an advertiser, you can really, really hone in and look at very, very specific criteria to build your perfect audience. And again, as we've talked about in the testing video, you have to kind of test and figure out what is really your audience and what works best. But once you found them, you can duplicate it. You can go to other sites. You can do a lot of things with that audience. You start with a small part of that audience because Facebook is so big. You might have just had 10%, and you can just use the same audience and just get to 100%, which can be millions of users, and that could be plenty of people that you need to speak to. So it's really kind of almost I guess you can use the word scary, but from an advertiser standpoint, it is just awesome how much data you can get, how specific you can get. And the other really, really good thing about online advertising is the incredible data that you get back. I mean, you get back just, it's like to the mouse click of what's working and not working. In the good old days when we did, like offline media, traditional media, the way it worked is you'd put a newspaper ad out. It would, you'd have to get on their rotation cycle. It would take you maybe a month to even get the newspaper ad out there. You would kind of, look for results. You'd probably run that thing for about 6 months, minimum of 3 months, but probably 6 months, even 12 months, and just look at your overall trends and see, are you getting more and more customers? Because it's very difficult to specifically measure if someone looked at a newspaper ad and then took action, whether it went to your website or called you. They might say they did it that way. You can even ask them. You can even put specific numbers in there, like different telephone numbers and different ads. But you never know. It might have been the fact that they saw you in the newspaper, then they did this, that, and then all of a sudden now they got to you. So with the internet, you can be very, very specific, and you know exactly what's working and not working. And the other nice thing is it can be very quickly done as well. Within 10 days, you can run a quick test and see if something's working. Again, with the old school ways, usually you're talking a couple of months of doing something before you really know if it's working or not. And as we've talked about in another video, you can really hone in on what's working and not. So if you're testing, let's say 5 different ads, you can really figure out, of of those 5 different ads, did 1 work, did 2 work, did 3 work, what actually worked, and then get rid of the ones that didn't work, and then keep the ones that did work. So paid advertising is just a really great way to get people into your online universe, and then of course make some money from this new audience that you've built, these new fans that you've acquired. So take a look at online advertising. I would highly recommend starting with Facebook ads. There's a lot of other things you can do, but once you kind of get good at Facebook ads, then you can jump to other ads. Your YouTube ads is a perfect example that I can think of. But again, the other important thing that I keep mentioning here, which I think is so important because I think this is the area where musicians really have struggled, is you've got to monetize this. You've got to make some money off of this in the back end, and then you use that money, and then boom, you do more advertising. It just becomes it becomes a cycle where you can kind of grow this thing as big as you want. I've known users both within music and without music who've grown, like in 6 months, 500,000 subscriber base, numbers like that, which are just incredible because, once you get numbers like that, you're in a whole different league and a whole different ball game. So start getting into online ads. We have a lot of content on our blog as far as how to specifically do this stuff. There's a lot of details and things that work and things that don't work, but it's something that you definitely should be doing to grow your online, to bring fans into your online universe.